What's up, everybody, and welcome to my Harry Potter build for Hogwarts Legacy. Now, obviously, as you can see here, my character doesn't really look like Harry Potter. I mean, he's got the hair kind of and the glasses, but this is actually for my main playthrough. I just took my character, kind of made an extra save file, and it's sort of kind of giving a Harry Potter look in a sense. Now, if you want to, you can actually make Harry Potter in this game as far as appearances. Just change the complexion and stuff like that, and edit the face images, um, but more importantly, though, it's about the build itself rather than the look. So the first thing I want to get into is spells. All right, and with that said, let's go here and take a look. So with the Harry Potter build, the first spell I think is very important that he uses a lot is Expelliarmus. So disarms wands and weapons from most enemies who wield them. Also deals damage to all enemies, even if they do not carry a weapon. Very good overall. And it just fits the theme of this build very well because we know Harry Potter uses this in the movies quite a lot. And something else I want to remind you guys, I typically like to use a mix of spells here, as you can see, where it's damage, force, and control. So moving on to control here, we're going to use Arresto Momentum. Slows both objects and enemies, giving you extra time to plan your next move. And this is very fun and good to use. This using a combination of attacks, you're slow down your enemies, especially against like bigger enemies. You slow them down for a bit so you can dodge or get out the way if they're like doing like a charge attack or something similar. And just helps with combo extensions a bit too in this game. Next up is Akio. Very good to pull enemies near you, basically to combo with Incendio, which I'm gonna get into in a bit. And just pops up in the air. You can upgrade this and essentially end up pulling in multiple enemies at once. Doesn't have to be a single enemy. And then, as I said, it is a nice combination with Incendio, which is the other red spell using here damage. Incendio is a close range fire magical attack, but once you upgrade it, it turns to a nice AoE. So when you pull in enemies with Akio, you'll combo with Incendio, and this will do a lot of damage and oftentimes end up just killing enemies right outright, but at least should get them very close to death if not killing them. Because some enemies do have tougher health pools and higher health pools, but all in all, this is a good combination overall of spells to utilize. And I usually stick with these four with this build. If you want to add something in here, to maybe add some extra, then you can switch it up and put on a different like loadout essentially if you want. But I use my other ones for different things, as you can see here, and this is my main combat one. Next, I want to get into talents and the talent points and talent skill tree here for this build. First, we'll start with spells. So actually, you want to do Incendio Mastery since it's a Harry Potter build. Helps out a lot. And then also Accio Mastery as well to kind of make them more damaging. So both these, this allows you to pull in more enemies towards you. So it's not just one. And Incendio Mastery basically creates the ring of flame around you, making more of an AoE. If you want some out earlier. This I got just in general. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have this part of the build, but Levioso, if you want to add that in there, you can, but not necessarily required. And then to the dark arts. So first up for dark arts, I decided to add stunning curse. Because Stupefy has the same effect as a curse on enemies. Curse enemies take increased damage. So, and Harry uses Stupefy a lot, so this is a nice combination to add with that to increase damage input or out damage output, I should say, not input. So that way you're just doing more and better in battle. Next up, disarming curse, and this is great to have because we already have Expelliarmus as part of this build. So, with this, Expelliarmus has the same effect as a curse on enemies. Curse enemies take increased damage, so essentially you just do more damage with that spell with this combination. Next up, enduring curse. A curse effect remains on enemy for a longer period of time. So that way, basically, this helps out. So you're basically just doing even more damage. Like, for example, with Expelliarmus and with Disarming Curse. So very important to have in this build. Very fun to use. And then Slowing Curse, which is a nice combination to go with Arresto Momentum, which has the same effect, essentially. And basically, when you use Arresto Momentum, now there'll be Curse, and you just have more damage output going on the enemies. So pretty much the goal is, the more damage, the better with this build. And lastly, in Dark Arts, Curse Sapper. Defeat a curse enemy, restores some of your health. This is nice if maybe, you know, you're maybe struggling a bit against certain enemies. And so this way you can replenish your health by defeating those cursed enemies so you stay alive longer. I personally didn't really die a lot in this game through my playthrough. It was mostly maybe like me making mistakes a few times, honestly. But yeah, I was usually able to stay alive throughout the playthrough using the Wiggle potion to heal me, essentially. But this is still a nice add effect. You feel like you need it. And then we have the core talent tree here. Now you see I got a lot here. Some of this stuff is I feel like important for all builds to have. For example, the spell knowledge 1, 2, and 3. As you saw earlier, it had essentially like 4 sections there of like loadouts, but 1 for combat only. So if you want to, or if you can, get all 3. It helps out a lot, honestly. And I feel like this is important for not just this build, but all builds in this game. Outside of that, though, Wicked Well potency, which helps, you know, give you greater effect as far as your health recovery. And then I would say get the second one as well, so that way you're healing for even higher for your health and stay alive, so you're not really dying a ton at all. Both are very important. And then next up, Swift. This is actually another ability I think is just really fun to have for all builds, much like the spell knowledge 1 through 3. So that way you can sort of just dodge real quickly, keep attacking, you know, dodge around the battlefield, stay alive longer if you're having trouble with that. And if you don't feel like doing the parry mechanic in this game, then just dodge and use this to get around. It helps out a lot. And then with this build, Ancient Magic Throw Expertise is a nice addition. And Ancient Magic Throw catches and throws disarmed enemy weapons. So very useful to have, especially like with certain goblins that are just ranged attackers. So just throw right back at them and just mess them up with it. Basic cast mastery is very good. This is one I feel like is a general core talent to have for all builds because basic cast impacts reduce spell cooldown. So why not have this? This is gonna be something in all the builds that I'll show you guys through this series. So just a universal thing essentially. And then with this one, basic cast airborne absorption. Since you know this build's utilizing Accio and also Arrest Momentum, basically kind of keeping enemies in the air for a period of time and comboing with that. This is very good because base cast impacts on airborne enemies contribute to more to the ancient magic meter, so you're filling up your meter faster. And then lastly in this core talents, we got Stupefy Expertise. Like I said, Harry Potter uses this a lot in the movies with Stupefy. Deals direct damage on impact. Very useful. Now with Stealth, decided to get all 4 of these in here, even though I personally didn't really stealth a ton on my first playthrough, but this is something that I feel like would fit this build because we know Harry does sneak around a lot. He, you know, eavesdrop, stuff like that to try and get information. So this is very important, I think, to have in here. So we got Sense of Secrecy, enemy's ability to detect you is reduced. And then Human Demiguise allows you to sprint while using Disillusionment. So Disillusionment is very important to have. Well, you'll naturally get that as you progress through the story anyway. And Sense of Secrecy 2, so basically just amplifies what you can already do with Sense of Secrecy 1. And lastly, Petrificus Totalis Mastery, so essentially emanates an area effect that can impact nearby enemies. This is something I didn't really have a big issue with. Like I did stealth a bit here, and I used this ability, and I didn't really have too much issue with petrifying essentially enemies for a bit. There are a few enemies that you either can't do it or won't have as much of an effect on, but didn't really do that. Didn't really. I was like the type that just went in, you know, spells blazing, I should say. Then I guess with this games. So, but if you do want to, you know, add this in there, go ahead. Lastly, is the room requirement. I only put 1 point into this, which is the invisibility potion potency. Basically, combo with your stealth and just make you even more deadlier going around the battlefield and messing up enemies, taking them out. And for the last part of this build, I want to talk about is traits. Now, traits are things you can put on your gear here. I recommend you wait, honestly, until you get legendary gear because you'll be fine without putting any really traits on any previous type of gear setups. And you unlock this, I think, roughly 20 or so hours into the game as far as being able to do this. And what I decided to go with is Concentration 3, as well as Scorching 3, and Disarming 3. Disarming 3 significantly increases damage with Expelliarmus, so that's a good one to have there. Scorching 3 increases damage with Incendio, since we combo into that using Accio. And Concentration 3 is really good because this significantly increases damage of all damage spells. So what I did was I pretty much have like a few of these of each. I believe I have, yeah, Concentration 3 right here as well, so that's the second one. And then a third one right here. And then Scorch 3 as well as up here. So 2 Scorching 3s, 3 Concentration, and 1 Disarming. And just to kind of better show you what I'm talking about. So you would use the loom here to basically put them on there. Go here, you'll hit triangle for your PlayStation for few traits. And pretty much as long as you got what you need, because you'll discover these while you're going to bandit camps. The main thing to keep in mind is like you do discover some of these through like other ways to progress the story, doing side quests. But the main and easiest way to get these is through bandit camps. Now it is RNG, meaning that if you go to a bandit camp, you get one, you're not know what you're going to get, honestly. So what you want to do is let it auto save, but also you want to make sure you save before, like manually save before you actually go into the camp to get the chest that these are in, and basically reload that manual save if you don't get what you want. So it may take a bit of time, but I eventually got it myself by doing that process. So it can be a pain because the RNG, honestly, it does suck that they make you do that. Another thing too to keep in mind is, as you see here, you need Kneasel Fur. So it's one of the creatures you need to get and put in the room requirement. So that way you take care of the beast, and then you Kneasel Fur, and that's how you apply it to your gear. So not hard at all to get overall. And then this build's just a lot of fun to mess around with and have fun with, and just mess up your enemies with and go through the game if you're a big fan of just being a Harry Potter type character. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, please drop a like, subscribe, and hit notifications so you don't miss anything. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below.